But there is an age of man rising that has the potential to redirect this course so that we can find something sustainable, the traditions, the principles, the power, the strength that have always allowed society to progress. Gentlemen, what's going on? Welcome to the Better Man channel, where we choose reality over fantasy, over ignorance, over stupidity. Many people today have cornered themselves into this pleasure-seeking fantasy land with all these ideologies that accompany that. In the name of progress, they diminish power, they diminish their own sovereignty. And where clear logic, clear reasoning is hated and deemed unnecessary. And so there's a part of society, a group that wonder why they have no power, wonder why they are oppressed, and they take on this victim mindset. It's not because power isn't waiting for them. It's not because power doesn't exist. It's not because power is oppressive. It's because they've surrendered their power, their sovereignty, in order to confine themselves in pleasure, become this pleasure-seeking slave. We surrender our sovereignty, we surrender our rights when we get distracted by those sensuous things. And when those of us with that unimpaired will that still wish to be strong, still wish to be power, to remove the distractions that hinder us from reaching our potential, when we stand strong in that and want to claim our authority, we're the outcast, we're the evil ones. There's a group of people, a society of people that their agenda is this participation trophy culture, where they level the playing field in the name of equality, and they create this horizontal class where, how dare you try to rise up, you're the oppressive one. And so there's this class of this victim mindset, and they wonder why they're weak. They wonder why there's this chaos. It's because they have this distorted perception of reality. They're in a fantasy land with these fanatical and fantasy ideologies of utopia that will never exist. And so there's a select group of men that are grabbing a hold of this higher spiritual aspect. And by spiritual, I don't mean religion. I mean this higher ideal, this higher purpose that calls men to be great and able and worthy and powerful. And we address this will to power, this will to strength that actually sustains life. And that's what it's about in being a better man. It's not becoming a slave to pleasure. It's not removing yourself from the possibilities of power and saying, oh, well, there's nothing I can do, so I'm just going to enslave myself with these pleasures and pass my time haphazardly following the next distraction, while those in power have what I want. And that's what's wrong with groups of people today. They want that power, that strength, that life, but they don't want to put in the work. They would rather live in fantasy land. They would rather live in those ideals that take no effort. It's easy to come up with an ideal of utopia. It's harder to actually face the realities of life and put in the work that it takes to find that middle ground, that golden mean where society can progress onwards instead of being divided in fantasy land. We as men have the power, the strength to face things head on and confront them instead of coming up with some progressive ideology. And that's where we're at, this equal and level playing field where everybody's the same and yet nobody's anything. Man is woman, woman is man. There's a group of people that are non-binary and nothing. When our target is everything, it's hard to actually hit something. And so it's time that we stand up in the name of power and we begin to reclaim our authority, despite those on the left that would scream off with the heads of those that reclaim authority, that reclaim tradition, that reclaim something sacred. We live in a society today that has surrendered power, that has surrendered morality, surrendered the idea of God. And I don't mean that in a religious sense. I mean in a higher principles, higher morality. Without a direction, we'll always be stuck in that fantasy land, that fruitless fantasizing where it's all about thought and it's all about what if we had the perfect world. There's never going to be a perfect world. There's never going to be that never-ending party, that lifelong holiday where we're continually seeking only pleasure. And that's the mindset of the ignorant today. That's the mindset of that herd mentality, just going along with what they've been fed, giving up their power in order to find the new distraction, the new phone, the new technology, the new vehicle, the new friends, the new fashionable trend. But there is an age of man rising that has the potential to redirect this course so that we can find something sustainable, the traditions, the principles, the power, the strength that have always allowed society to progress. These fantasyland ideologies in the name of progression where we level the playing field and no one can rise, that's not life. That's not reality. That's fantasyland. And again, fantasyland's easy. I would love to just dwell in hours of fantasyland without any action. It's easier. You don't have to put any effort. You level down what's good and what's powerful by calling it evil. And you sell this to the masses that are ready to surrender their power for the next pleasure, so that they can do it in the name of equality, the name of progression. But we find that reality doesn't exist. That's fantasy. We are men of power, called to claim our authority and walk in that truth, walk in the harshness and severity of life. Life isn't rainbows and ice cream and birthday parties and always easy. It requires some effort. It requires some strength. It requires wrestling with those good thoughts, those higher planes of truth, so that we can actually achieve them. We don't cut down the strong and powerful's legs in the name of equality. We aspire to rise to that level and hold them in esteem. That doesn't mean that there cannot be some adaptations and that some things and areas need to be fixed, but we strive towards that perfection. We don't call perfection evil so that we can be equal. I love you guys. Find your power. Never be a slave to pleasure. You'll hear me next episode.